Hey, Bills Mafia, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of Circling the Wagons, Buffalo Bills fan podcast. I am your host, Nate. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. It is a non-traditional, usually released late Sunday night, early Monday morning, but this is kind of like a breaking news episode, and it's right before I go on vacation, so I'm driving to a work function, and I had a chance to try this Podbean Live situation out. I was thinking about doing Twitter Live or Twitter Space, but I just don't have the ability to, while I'm driving, to, finger through and give people permission to talk or whatever. So I'm just going to do this solo. Going to discuss the Matt Milano injury, what it means, what it could mean for the Bills this season, thoughts, emotions, feelings on it. So first thing, if you haven't been following us on social media at CTW Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, you know that we're not, I guess I'm not in a super great place on this injury for a few different reasons. I'm not low on the season altogether, but I'm not in a good place as far as the how I look at the season is right now in the moment. So in the moment, it's still kind of new. It's been less than 24 hours since we found out for sure that Adam Schefter let us know that Matt Milano tore his bicep, and I mean, it's a gut punch, man. It's a gut punch, especially after we were super excited to get him back for training camp, and just finding out now that we're losing him again until at least December. Hopefully rehab goes well and we don't, we get him back right at that time and not later. But I mean, it's hard to replace a guy like Matt Milano. I mean, Matt Milano is an all-pro linebacker, and he's one of the best in the NFL. And people are like, well, what's in free agency? Could they get AJ Klein back? I mean, unfortunately, the fact of it, it's just they won't be. Like, could they be adequate in filling his shoes? Could Dorian Williams be, a good, addition on that in that linebacking core? The linebacking core, which by the way was really thin to begin with, and very thin, even though we only have two true linebackers in the starting defense. So it was Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard at the two starting spots, and then it was Dorian Williams, who I think is solid depth, second year player out of Tulane. Like I think there's some promise there. Would I rather him not be forced into the starting lineup right now? Sure, but at least he'll get some meaningful reps in practice leading up to week one. But I mean, besides that, it's, their fifth round pick, Upaposo, and then just like a lot of other, undrafted practice squad guys that, not, not great, not great, Bob. So again, a gut punch to a guy who's had a lot of injuries as of late. Reminds me of when we lost, Daquan Jones, Matt Milano, Tre'Davious White in a matter of a span. So it's already the beginning of the season. We lose our stud linebacker. So not feeling great there. People over social media, and I get it, they're like, not that big of a deal, or even Dolphins fans coming in my mentions saying, it's not that big of a deal. You guys are still gonna, you'll probably still win the AFC East. And it's like, yeah, well, probably, maybe, most likely, but that's not the goal. Like when you won the AFC East 4 times in a row, like that's not the goal anymore. Like that's the standard. The standard is to win the AFC East. The goal is beating the Chiefs and the Bengals in the playoffs and advancing to the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. Like that's the goal now. The bar has been raised. We're not just looking to win the division or make the playoffs, although we obviously want to do that each year. And ideally we do because Matt Milano could come back at that time, but not a guarantee. So it just feels like at sometimes the Bills are a cursed franchise. We lose so many major key players, to major injury. And I go back to the Kansas City Chiefs playoff game last year where the Bills lost, 24-22 to the Chiefs in Orchard Park. And I look back at that game and I'm like, man, if we had Matt Milano at that game, I think we win. If we had Terrell Bernard at that game, if we had Christian Benford, if we had, a healthy Von Miller, like all of these things, it's just like, it's just piling on. So obviously not in a great place for that. I think that there's still a chance that, he comes back. The Bills still make the playoffs and he's there for a run, sure. But like, Bills are already kind of dealing with injuries at safety. You know, Mike Edwards, Cole Bishop, now DeMar Hamlin, I think, went down with an injury. So like, the safety group isn't looking great, to be honest. And the thing that also stinks about the Matt Milano injury is the beginning of the schedule is the toughest part of that schedule for the Buffalo Bills. The last 6 to 8 games, not that bad. The first 10 games or so, it's a rough stretch. A lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of good teams. That's when you want those players to be there. So, in a season where the Bills were already looking at dealing with some roster turnover at center with Mitch Morse losing Tre'Davious White via free agency, or cutting him. Same thing with trading Stephon Diggs. Like, there's a lot of unknowns with this Bills roster. Now they could get better. It could be better than that, but we just don't know. So adding this on top of it, I think also compounds the issues that you might have had with the Bills team in general. So not a great place. I do like Dorian Williams. If we're going to stay on a positive or try to go to a positive route, that I do like Dorian Williams a lot. Obviously, like I said, not Matt Milano, but I think he's athletic attack, smaller like Matt Milano, slightly bigger frame wise, good in coverage. I think underrated in coverage from that standpoint. I mean, unfortunately, they didn't really like him enough to start him in that Chiefs game. So I'm not sure why that is. They brought in AJ Klein off the couch, and then he was injured during the Chiefs game. So they just didn't trust Dorian Williams, which is unfortunate. He just must not be there mentally, or at least to the point that Bobby Babbitt or Sean McDermott felt comfortable with that. So we'll see there. But I mean, it's better to have him in this situation now than like a lot of other players that they could be putting in that spot. So I like Dorian Williams a lot. Let's unleash him. Let's bring him into the roster. Again, I'm not poo-pooing the season. I think that it can still be a good season. This could still be a Super Bowl season. It just is an unfortunate twist and turn to a player that's already been injured several times, and a player that's that good at what he does that we're gonna miss him. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys about that. I don't think I'm going to be able to talk after the Bills Steelers preseason game this upcoming weekend. I'm traveling out of state, out of the country for vacation. Out of the country, it's just Canada. It's not like I'm going to Peru or Italy or somewhere nice. I'm just going to Canada. So although I do like Canada, I'm not trying to poo-poo Canada. It's just it's across the border, not like the Caribbean, right? You don't have to fly there. You just get in your car, drive a little bit. So I'll be there. I don't think I'm going to have access or anything to record, but maybe I'll do one of these again. We'll see how this one goes. But yeah. What's funny is a lot of people are like, next man up. It's not that big of a deal. Injuries happen. It's like, yeah, injuries happen. But I mean, you think about like the 5 or 6 most important players on the Bills roster, and I'm thinking, obviously Josh Allen, it goes without saying. Deion Dawkins, I would put probably number 2. I'd put Greg Rousseau up there, even though, like, I still want a little bit more pass rush out of Greg Rousseau. But, I mean, if you lose Greg Rousseau, and now you're talking Von Miller and AJ Epinesa, which, is not your ideal starting defensive end, rotation. Terrell Bernard is up there. I think Russell Douglas is up there on the defense. On the offense, if we're going back to offense, Dalton Kincaid is probably the most important pass catcher at this time. Put Khalil Shakir slightly behind that. But yeah, I mean, you're talking 6 or 7 guys right there. And Connor McGovern is important. We need him to step up. We need him to be a big piece of this offense. If he doesn't perform at center, that could be a huge issue. We've been very fortunate in the last several years, Mitch Morse being there. When he hasn't been injured, he's been a really solid starting center. Yeah, I put Matt Milano up there. So we'll see how they, go into it. I know last year when Matt Milano was out, they did a lot of dime package looks. So Taylor Rapp was in as like the third safety / linebacker in that role. Taylor Rapp needs to be a starting safety now, and they don't have the safety depth to bring in another safety down into the box. Maybe they bring DeMar Hamlin in, like Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop, or Taylor Rapp and Mike Edwards are are healthy. I mean, if it were me, ideally, if you have Mike Edwards in at free safety, Taylor Rapp in a strong safety healthy, I'd bring Cole Bishop in as a dime linebacker. I mean, that would be awesome. I mean, he has shown at the collegiate level to be that in the box safety. Like, that's his forte. Like, not that he can't cover, wide receivers or slot wide receivers. Like, he just hasn't really had to do that a lot at Utah. But, I mean, he was asked to cover tight end. There's always that thing about him being able to cover Dalton Kincaid really well at Utah. Like that, but like in the box, I mean, highlight after highlight of him shooting the gap and taking a defender or the right back down in the backfield or even a quarterback on a sack. That's where I'm looking. If you're not wanting to put Cole Bishop in as a starting safety, put him in a dime linebacker. So there's options. We just need these guys to be healthy. Or they just put Chase Claypool on IR and then they gave him an injury settlement, so he's probably not coming back. But yeah, we just need guys to get healthy. If we look at that Steeler game, so I probably won't do a recap button. If I'm looking for things to watch out for, like I do every preseason game, just no injuries. Just no injuries, man. Like walk out. I don't care if we lose 40-0. I don't care if we lose 80-0. Like I don't care. Just no major injuries. We need the starters to come in healthy. I'd almost give them all the week off, guys. But yeah. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening on this like impromptu sort of driving as I go. Hopefully the audio sounds okay. I don't know if it's picking up my car audio or out of my cell phone from me driving, but yeah, appreciate you guys being there. So for me, Nate, go Bills, no injuries, cross your fingers, Bills Mafia. It's not the end. It's just a bump in the road on hopefully a trip to a deep run in the playoff, beating the Bengals and going to the Super Bowl. So for me, Nate, go Bills, and we'll talk to you guys again very soon.